Welcome back to another episode of Fitness and Health with Izaiah and Sam. Today, we're going to talk to you about the benefits of resistance training on those suffering from or are at risk of developing osteoporosis. First, I'm going to outline some of the contents in today's slides. We're going to go through what is osteoporosis, what is resistance training, some key definitions throughout our presentation, as well as some general statistics. The last 6 slides, we're going to talk to you about some articles, journals, books we found that prove our thesis. What's our thesis again, Sam?
It's as simple as resistance training does really positively benefit and influence bones that are suffering from osteoporosis or osteopenia.
Perfect. Go ahead with your go.
Firstly, we've defined osteoporosis as a lack of bone tissue that in turn makes the bone frail and easily damaged. Secondly, we've defined resistance training as the body working against the resistance of gravity with or without the added weight of dumbbells or medicine balls, let's say.
Perfect. Some key definitions include bone density. Now, what is that? It's actually a measurement of the calcium within the bone. And this bone density is actually used to measure, to detect osteoporosis or osteopenia. Now, osteopenia is actually a reduced bone mass, but it's less severe than osteoporosis itself. It's kind of the early onset of osteoporosis. And lastly, weight bearing. Now, that's activities that are done against gravity. So, for instance, running, jogging, dancing, etc.
Some general statistics about osteoporosis include that fractures from osteoporosis are more common than all 3 heart attack, stroke, and breast cancer combined.
Combined, you said?
That's right, Isaiah. Also, 1 in 3 females and 1 in 5 males will get a fracture from osteoporosis throughout their entire lifetime. Lastly, 28% of females and 37% of men with hip fractures die within a year of their injury.
Sam, that's not all. I've got some more statistics here. 80% of all the fractures, now this is in individuals 50 years of age or older, are actually caused by osteoporosis. And osteoporosis causes 70 to 90% of 30,000 hip fractures that happen annually within Canada. Without testing, 80% of all the patients with a history of fractures go without osteoporosis therapy. Lastly, hundreds of thousands Canadians fracture their bones each year due to undiagnosed osteotherapy.
My goodness, it's truly awful. Our first piece of literature that we reviewed is a book entitled Resistance Training for Health and Rehabilitation by Graves, Franklin, and others. It concludes that it is potentially not optimal to be working at resistance training at a high intensity for extended periods of time, even if you're a very high level athlete. It suggests that changing up your exercises and changing them to exercises that allow greater absolute loads on the body may in fact be more beneficial than simply working at high intensities for extended periods. This completely backs our thesis by showing that when experts write a book on this particular topic, they agree that yes, in fact, resistance training does benefit the density of bones.
That's perfect. I'm going to back up that point with an article that was written about resistance training and the importance it is for females in specific. Now, they outlined a ton of benefits within this article, and we're just going to focus on the fact that it increases bone mass. But they also did talk about increased metabolism, better tone of the body. But the main point we want to get across is that the bone mass was drastically improved. And obviously this supports our thesis because even with male or females, resistance training is going to benefit you and up your bone mass, lower your risk of osteoporosis.
So we've talked about females, we've talked about males. We reviewed an article that was entitled Effects of Resistance Exercises on Function in Older Adults with Osteoporosis or Osteopenia. And they reviewed a control trial that concluded an improved rate of balance, reduced falling incidence, and increased bone density. They also concluded that it improved their functional limitations. This supports our thesis by demonstrating that no matter how old you are, resistance training is beneficial. It will help with many other things, but also increase your bone density.
Perfect. And on that note, resistance training for elders is going to be a bit more difficult to perform daily, weekly, but we're going to keep it to like low weight, that sort of thing. It's more of a gradual, weight-bearing exercises that aren't as much weight. The next article we discussed or reviewed is labeled, Can Weightlifting Increase Bone Density? As we discussed, it can. But this is specifically for postmenopausal women and their high level risk for osteoporosis. During their menstrual cycle, there's a lack of estrogen being produced, and from what people don't know, estrogen is actually a major bone builder. And so resistance training is going to counteract that lack of estrogen and increase the bone mass within those individuals. And so our thesis directly relates with that, because resistance training is going to increase their bone density so that when the menstrual cycle does happen and the estrogen is lowered, the bones are still not fragile enough to be fractured.
That's right. Lastly, we took a look at an article by the National Institute of Health in the United States and a company or an agency called Osteoporosis Canada. They both concluded that the best kinds of exercise to reduce your risk of osteoporosis or to help you if you're suffering with osteoporosis are weight-bearing exercises, which again is when your body works against the resistance of gravity with or without added weight.
Perfect, Sam. So is that when I'm using dumbbells or just doing crunches?
Dumbbells, crunches, both. They suggest that stair climbing, tennis, and jogging, even dancing, are all examples of resistance training.
Perfect. Thank you for watching our presentation. This has been another episode of Health and Fitness with Sam and Isaiah.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see you next time. Don't have to add that part, but we're done.